T.O. Blaze.
Hey there, it's Tio bringing another Kerbal Space Program video, and like my last few videos, I'll be going back to Duna. In my very last video, I tested a reusable lander that I can use to send down 3 Kerbals at a time. Gives me the ability to also send a little fuel back up to my station, so now it's time to put something more permanent on the surface. So I'm going to build this surface station. So in career mode, surface stations mainly you're going to use for collecting science. So I'm going to go ahead and do the same in sandbox mode, although it doesn't really serve a purpose besides just having some fun. I'm going to try to make the station just look a little cooler than I normally would on a career mode. I'm going to add more parts, and you see we added a deck, a platform between the science lab and the living quarters down at the bottom. The little 4-man modules, the hitchhiker modules. Sorry, that's what I was trying to remember the name for them. Again, just for aesthetics, the little platform looks kind of cool. I'm going to add a railing around it, add some experiments up there, maybe some batteries, different things. Um, it's a good idea usually for surface stations to put wheels on them if you plan on uh, pinpointing their location around a specific I guess geographic location, but in this case, I'm just gonna put some landing legs on it, and wherever it lands is where it lands. Everything else that I plan to send down to the surface will be mobile, so the station doesn't need to be mobile. I will have engines that I'll keep on the station. Sometimes you can use like a sky crane or some other means to slow down and then jettison the engines, but I'll keep the engines on. So in theory, if I wanted to, I could refuel this and use those engines to move the station around. So I guess technically it's not completely stationary, but also for my station designs, I like to put solar panels as close to the top as realistic, so that the station doesn't block your panels, obviously, while you're sitting on the ground. Also, sometimes obviously at a certain part of the day, the sun's going to be lower in the horizon, and you don't want the shadow of the station blocking that either. So panels usually go at the top. And not too much else to talk about. Just like to add little components to make the station look more interesting, I guess. And also with one of the latest updates, I like to put one of those part storage containers and put some spare parts, lots of repair kits and stuff. So I typically put those at the bottom of the station, so that if my engineers walking around on the surface, they should be able to reach those things. Although I have had trouble retrieving parts directly from those using EVA construction. So I don't know if it's because of the mass or what, but I think you either see it in this video or the next. Some of the parts that I place in that storage container, they're useless. I can't actually retrieve them with an engineer. So also planning to put a rover. So here you see me trying to build something relatively compact that can seat at least one Kerbal. Um, and the purpose of this would be to get the Kerbal to and from the reusable lander. If the lander lands kind of far from the station, also if I can put there you see my little science arm, then I can also use this to go and um, conduct some experiments on the craters and rocks and whatever else Duna has. So there you see the little storage compartment off to the right, the little grayed out compartment, just to give me an idea of how small I need to make this thing so that it can fit in the bottom of the science station. So this is kind of unnecessary. You could just send the rover separately, but I wanted to pack one away at the bottom of the station, so that's why I'm going for this really tight design. I'm just kind of playing with the size of it and the shape, and got a sub-assembly made from it, and I can go ahead and paste it into the station. So let's go ahead and find my station from the list. Now I got my cargo bay at the bottom. I need to make sure my landing legs aren't going to interfere with my ladders or that little rover that's going to pop out. And now it's also time to consider how I'm going to slow this thing down. So I'm putting some ejectable parachute pods at the top. Gotta make sure to strut those up a lot because with Duna it probably won't be as much of an issue. But places like Lathe, especially Eve, where they have a thicker atmosphere, all of a sudden the parachutes will deploy and you'll induce a whole lot of G forces on the whole assembly. And sometimes those upper parts will just rip right off, and the rest of the base will just plummet and crash. So good idea to strut your parachute. Any parts holding a parachute, strut them nice and tight to the rest of the assembly. But got everything in a fairing now, so let's use a transfer stage. I've got a pre-assembly that I can use, and yeah, I'm gonna send this unmanned because I've still got my crew around Duna, so they're my typical launch profile. Sometimes more efficient than others. But this is relatively efficient. If I'm going that fast, 1400, 1500 meters per second before I even get to like as I'm getting to my apoapsis, that's a good efficient sign. So I'll go ahead and circularize and try to use the maneuver node planner to get a transfer to Duna. And I do want to circularize around Duna so that I can plan my landing. Also so I can quick save, because sometimes the landings don't go according to plan. I'm trying to remember if this one did or not, if I recorded the first attempt. Oh no, yeah, I definitely did more than one attempt on this one, and you'll see why in a second. The rover doesn't deploy very neatly, but ditch my transfer stage and use my parachutes and my two dart engines to slow down. And again, those engines are going to allow me to be kind of mobile, so I can quick save and would have the option to move around if I needed to, but I don't particularly need to, so I'm going to go ahead and sit right here. Let's try to deploy my rover. It's not going to it's not going to come out very easily. So this was after a few tries. I realized the back wheels had to be retracted in order to get it to come out without exploding. And then once I do that, it doesn't. It tends to want to flip over. So I had a whole lot of trouble getting that little rover to work. I'm gonna go ahead and move my little unmanned helicopter closer to the base, so I can have everything kind of parked next to each other, nice and neat. But in a second here, I'm going to try to get that rover to work. I can move my refueling lander closer to the base. And the plan was, even if I can just get it within a kilometer, well, then I can use the rover to move my Kerbals back and forth from the rocket. But rover's not working very well. So let's go ahead and send down my reusable lander. I just transferred some of that fuel that I was talking about in the last video. I can use it as kind of a refueling lander. And let's put some Kerbals in. Wanted to send a scientist, pilot, and engineer down. And let's go down to the station, see if we can nail the landing. And I'd like to get like almost over the target and just try to completely reduce my horizontal velocity, or not completely, but quite a lot, and then that's going to cause me to come on top of the target pretty fast sometimes. But that's what parachutes are for, and that's what the dart engines are going to be for as well. So not too worried about G-forces. Also not worried about overheating on Duna. It's not a very dense atmosphere, so overheating is almost never an issue. So I'm touched down here so I can quick save and use those engines to try to kind of hop over closer to the station. And that's close enough. I can visibly see it from the landing zone, so that'll work. I'm going to deploy all my ladders, and I had totally tested all those ladders. They were actually worked in a previous video, but the Kerbal gets stuck, so I'm not going to climb all the way down. I'll just jump off and use my EVA pack. So I'll send my first Kerbal to the top, do a little bit of experimentation, and jump inside the mobile processing lab. Again, this is sandbox, so not getting any credit for any of these experiments. It's just kind of for funsies. Let's send my next Kerbal. Got lots of space on the station. I've got room for, what's that, 4, 8, 12, 13, 14 Kerbals, I believe. And I'm only sending 3, so they've all got lots of space. And then the engineer, I will remove from the lander for now to come and try to, I guess, rescue my rover. See if I can get it to sit right side up, but that's the station. Time for the engineer to get out and earn his pay. See if I can, there's a word I'm trying to remember. To, not salvage, but I guess kind of salvage the rover. So this is like the third or fourth video, and I deleted all the other footage just because it's kind of boring, but it took me lots of tries to flip the rover over. The rover over. I'm trying to place an SAS wheel on it, but I couldn't pull the SAS, I'm sorry, the reaction wheel off of that little helicopter drone because this rover doesn't have a reaction wheel. I was trying to go for realism, didn't put a reaction wheel on it, but I kind of screwed myself. So I'm going to try to flip it by pushing it and jumping and using the wheels in clever ways. And I do flip it successfully a couple times, and in this video I'll show you one of the times. But it flips right back over too damn easily. So now that I've got it on its hind wheels, I can try to push it over. This is an awful lot of work and effort just because I was trying to salvage a relatively crappy design. So I've got it on its wheels. I quick saved, and let me jump on board and see if I can get over to the lander with this. Rovers can be kind of challenging, especially on Duna. And I got too close, or I guess the way that the kerbal jumped off the front and flipped it over again. So after the video, I do revert to quick save just so I'll have my rover still on four wheels. But and there you see what I was mentioning before. For whatever reason, he gets stuck here, and he didn't get stuck on the previous video. So just some weird clipping happening that's preventing him from climbing the ladder. So I'm gonna use my EVA pack, just jump up to the top, and go ahead and deploy my my drills and stuff. So that's the end of the video. Appreciate you tuning in. In the next one, I'll send something slightly more interesting to the surface.